In 1932, Warsaw's Cipher Bureau pulsed with quiet focus. Polish mathematicians confronted Germany's Enigma machine, a cryptographic device patented in 1918 by engineer Arthur Scherbius. Initially marketed for commercial use in 1923, it adapted for military signals by 1926, when the German Navy adopted early models. Marian Rajowski, a young analyst, studied intercepted messages. Each was encoded by rotors, redirecting electrical currents through 26 letters. The military Enigma with 3 rotors from 5 and a plug board yielded 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826,360,000 possible settings, a vast cryptographic barrier. Yet a flaw emerged. Operators repeated 3-letter keys in 6-letter preambles. This betrayed subtle patterns to Rajewski's permutation equations. By December, he pierced Enigma's early ciphers, aided by French intelligence. A spy, Hans Thilo Schmidt, had smuggled rotor wirings in 1931. This data fueled the Poles' breakthrough, unraveling German military communications. Their cyclometer catalogued cycle structures across 105,456 rotor configurations over a year of labor. By 1938, the Bomba Cryptologiczna mechanized rotor testing. It slashed decryption time from weeks to hours, a leap beyond manual efforts. The number that matters is 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826,360,000 settings. On July 25, 1939, near Pyrie's shadowed forest, the Poles met British and French allies. They shared blueprints and methods, planting seeds for a war-altering edge against German military ciphers. The war's opening salvos in September 1939 thrust Bletchley Park, a modest estate in Buckinghamshire, into the heart of Britain's cryptographic fight. Mathematicians and linguists, summoned from universities and conscripted by necessity, filled its huts with the hum of urgency. Alan Turing, a Cambridge scholar, joined Hut 8 to tackle naval Enigma ciphers armed with Polish blueprints. The machine's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826,360,000 settings, effective from December 1938, loomed as a relentless foe. Turing's task was to unravel Kriegsmarine signals, vital to protect Atlantic convoys from U-boat wolf packs. Each intercepted message, a tangle of letters, demanded rotor orders and plugboard pairings. Settings changed daily at midnight. The Poles' Bomba, though ingenious, faltered against Germany's evolving procedures, which abandoned repeated key preambles by May 1940. Turing sketched a new machine, the British bomb, to test rotor combinations faster than human hands could manage. In Hut 6, Gordon Welchman, another Cambridge recruit, refined the approach. He devised the diagonal board, a wiring innovation introduced in August 1940, which exploited the Enigma's plugboard reciprocity. If A connected to B, B connected to A, narrowing the cryptographic maze. The first bomb, named Victory, whirred to life in March 1940, its 36 Enigma simulators, spinning through settings in under 20 minutes per rotor order. This halved the time to decrypt Luftwaffe signals compared to manual methods. The constraint was operator precision. A single miswired rotor stalled the machine for hours. Welchman's team pored over Luftwaffe intercepts, seeking cribs predictable phrases like wetter in weather reports. These guesses, paired with the bomb's brute force, cracked daily keys, revealing German air movements. By late 1940, Hut 6 decrypted Red, the Luftwaffe's main cipher, exposing targets during the Battle of Britain. Across the Atlantic, convoys faced relentless U-boat attacks. Kriegsmarine Enigma, more complex with additional rotors, shielded coordinates and attack orders. Turing's bombs, now numbering 15 by November 1941, struggled against naval settings, which required precise cribs from weather or patrol reports. On May 9, 1941, a breakthrough struck. HMS Bulldog captured U-110, seizing intact rotors, codebooks, and key tables valid until June's end. These treasures, hauled aboard in dripping sacks, slashed decryption time to under 12 hours per message. Turing's team exploited operator errors, like lazy chatter indicators reusing old keys. The number that matters is 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings. Each a lock the bomb pried open, yet the Germans adapted. In February 1942, they introduced the M4 Enigma for U-boats, adding a fourth rotor, ballooning settings to over 4 trillion daily combinations. Bletchley's bombs, built for 3 rotors, fell silent against this shark cipher. Convoys suffered. In March 1943, convoys HX-229 and SC-122 lost 21 of 90 ships, roughly 23% sunk. Turing and his team, faces gaunt from sleepless nights, reworked crib strategies, targeting short signals with stereotyped phrases. Hut-8's Banburismus, a statistical method, cut possibilities by aligning message overlaps, reducing trials from thousands to dozens. The cold line. Bombs processed 1,700 settings per minute at peak capacity. On October 30, 1942, HMS Petard's crew boarded U-559, capturing M4 codebooks before the submarine sank. These documents, rushed to Bletchley under gunfire, restored shark decrypts by December. The U.S. Navy, now allied in the effort, deployed faster bombs, each testing 20,000 settings per second by 1943, completing a 4-rotor run in 20 minutes. This halved decryption time compared to British models. The Enigma's reflector, unable to encipher a letter to itself, remained a fatal flaw. Cribs like "weta bericht" in weather signals betrayed rotor positions as no letter matched its plaintext. Bletchley's output, dubbed Ultra, flowed to commanders, rerouting convoys around U-boat traps. By early 1943, Allied escorts sank 7 U-boats in 1 week using decrypted coordinates. The adversary's perspective sharpened the turning point. German naval officers, aboard U-606, cursed intercepted orders exposing their patrol lines. Unaware of Bletchley's breach, they blamed spies or radio leaks, tightening procedures in vain. The cold line, Ultra decrypted 30,000 messages monthly by mid-1943. Bletchley's huts buzzed with relentless rhythm. Wrens operated bombs, their hands steady despite air raid sirens. Turing, pacing, Hut 8, refined algorithms under dim bulbs, his mind mapping Enigma's logic to mathematical purity. Welchman's team cross-referenced Luftwaffe and Heer signals, unmasking troop shifts in North Africa. Each decrypt, a puzzle solved, saved ships or foiled ambushes. By mid-1943, Ultra's reach extended to the Mediterranean, where decrypted orders exposed Rommel's supply lines, enabling Allied strikes to cripple panzer divisions. The constraint was time. Bombs required 20 minutes to test 1 rotor order at full load. The human toll weighed heavy. Codebreakers, bound by secrecy, carried the war's weight in silence. A single decrypt could spare a convoy or doom it if delayed. The bomb's clatter, a mechanical heartbeat, echoed their resolve. In 1943, the tide turned. Black May saw 41 U-boats sunk as ultra-guided escorts struck with precision. Kriegsmarine's wolf packs, once predators, became prey. Their Enigma signals a roadmap to defeat. The reflector's flaw, operator errors, and captured codebooks converged, transforming 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings into a cipher the Allies could master. Bletchley Park's Codebreakers, by mid-1943, wielded Ultra like a sharpened blade, slicing through German military communications with relentless precision. The Enigma machine, once Germany's unassailable shield, betrayed its secrets through its own design flaws and human errors. Its 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings, standardized since December 1938, crumbled under Allied ingenuity. Hut 8, led by Alan Turing, and Hut 6, under Gordon Welchman, synchronized their efforts, decrypting Luftwaffe, Heer, and Kriegsmarine signals daily. The reflector's critical weakness, no letter enciphering to itself, enabled crib-based attacks, where phrases like Wetterbericht in naval weather reports revealed rotor positions. Ultra's intelligence, now flowing at 90,000 messages monthly by late 1943, reshaped battlefields from the Atlantic to the Mediterranean. The Atlantic theater, a crucible of survival, hinged on these decrypts. Convoys, vital lifelines for Britain's war machine, dodged U-boat ambushes using Ultra's precise coordinates. In May 1943, during Black May, Allied escorts sank 41 U-boats, leveraging decrypted patrol orders. The Cold Line. Escorts sank up to 10 U-boats weekly in May 1943. Kriegsmarine losses crippled their submarine campaign, with Allied shipping sinkings dropping sharply after March 1943 peaks exceeding 400,000 tons monthly. Codebreakers exploited operator errors, such as repeated chatter indicators or short signals exposing wheel orders. Captured materials amplified the advantage. On August 2, 1943, U-505 yielded updated M4 codebooks, aiding sustained shark decrypts amid German key changes. These documents, snatched under fire, cut decryption time to under 10 minutes per rotor order with American bombs. In North Africa, Ultra unveiled Erwin Rommel's supply lines, pinpointing convoys crossing the Mediterranean. By October 1942, decrypted Heer signals exposed fuel shortages, enabling Allied airstrikes to starve panzer divisions before El Alamein from October 23 to November 4, 1942. The constraint was bandwidth, 90,000 messages. Monthly strained Bletchley staff of 8,000. Codebreakers worked in shifts, their eyes burning from endless ciphertext, yet each decrypt shifted tactical odds. A single message, revealing a panzer redeployment, could trigger a bombing run, shattering Axis momentum. The bombs, now dozens strong and rising toward 90 by late 1943, processed 1,700 settings per minute, a mechanical symphony of rotors and relays. Their speed, paired with cribs from predictable German reports, turned Enigma's complexity into a liability. The adversary's perspective crystallized the turning point. German commanders, aboard Berlin's Zossen headquarters, raged at betrayed plans, suspecting traitors, but never Enigma's breach. Their faith in the machine's 158, quintillion, 962, quadrillion, 555, trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings blinded them to Bletchley's relentless advance. The Cold Line. Bletchley decrypted 90,000 messages monthly by late 1943. The Mediterranean campaign showcased Ultra's reach. In July 1943, decrypted signals guided Allied landings in Sicily, exposing German counterattack plans. Operation Husky succeeded, with Ultra revealing Axis troop movements days in advance. Codebreakers, hunched over typewriters in Bletchley's huts, translated intercepts into actionable orders, their fingers stained with ink and urgency. The Enigma's reflector flaw, combined with operator laziness using predictable abbreviations like Oberkommando in dispatches, handed Allies a steady stream of intelligence. By 1944, Ultra's scope expanded to the Eastern Front, where decrypted Heer signals tracked German divisions retreating under Soviet pressure. Each decrypt, a snapshot of enemy intent, shaped Allied strategy with surgical precision. The human element drove Bletchley's success. Wrens, often young women from nearby towns, operated bombs with meticulous care, recalibrating rotors under flickering lights. Their shifts lasted 8 hours, yet errors, a misaligned plugboard or skipped setting could delay a decrypt by days. Turing, pacing Hut 8, refined Banburismus to narrow rotor possibilities, his calculations scribbled on scraps amid air raid warnings. Welchman, in Hut 6, orchestrated cross-hut collaboration, ensuring Luftwaffe and naval decrypts aligned. The constraint was exhaustion. Staff rotated every 8 hours to sustain focus. A single bomb run, testing 1,700 settings per minute, could unlock a day's cipher in 20 minutes, but only with flawless execution. The Codebreakers' silent burden-knowing lives hung on their speed fueled their resolve. In 1944, Ultra's impact peaked with D-Day preparations. Decrypted signals exposed German fortifications along Normandy's coast, guiding deception operations like Fortitude. Fabricated Ultra leaks, planted through double agents, misled Wehrmacht reserves to Calais, leaving Normandy's defenses thin. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces landed, supported by Ultra's real-time insights into German counterattacks. The Enigma's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings, once a fortress, became a trap. Operator errors, like reusing HL in salutes, and captured codebooks from U-boats like U-505 on June 4, 1944, kept Bletchley ahead. The Cold Line. Bombs tested 20,000 settings per second with American models. The German High Command, oblivious to Enigma's exposure, doubled down on its use. Procedural tweaks, new rotors, tightened key discipline failed to stem the tide. Bletchley's bombs, now 100 strong by mid-1944, churned through settings with mechanical precision, their clatter a relentless pulse. Ultra's intelligence shortened the war, saving an estimated 2 million lives by hastening Germany's collapse. In the Pacific, lessons from Bletchley aided code-breaking against Japanese ciphers, though Enigma remained the European linchpin. The constraint was secrecy. Codebreakers, sworn to silence, carried their triumphs unspoken, their work hidden under the Official Secrets Act. As victory loomed, Bletchley's legacy took shape. The bombs, dismantled in 1945 to guard their secrets, left a technological imprint. Turing's work on logical circuits birthed early computing concepts, influencing machines like Colossus, used against Germany's Lorenz cipher. The Wrens returned to civilian life, their contributions buried until 1974, when F.W. Winterbotham's The Ultra-Secret unveiled Bletchley's role. Surviving Enigma machines, some used by neutral nations like Switzerland into the 1960s, now rest in museums, their rotors silent. Bletchley Park, once a hive of clandestine labor, stands as a monument to human intellect triumphing over mechanical hubris. The war's outcome, shaped by decrypts, proved that Enigma's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings were no match for Allied perseverance. By mid-1944, Bletchley Park's Codebreakers had turned Enigma's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings, standardized since December 1938, into a predictable puzzle. Ultra-intelligence, decrypting 90,000 messages monthly, flowed seamlessly to Allied commanders, shaping every major campaign. The Enigma's reflector flaw, no letter, enciphering to itself, exposed rotor positions through cribs like Wetterbericht in naval weather reports. Operator errors, such as reusing HL in salutes or transmitting short signals, compounded the machine's vulnerabilities. In Hut 8, Alan Turing's team honed Banburismus, slashing rotor possibilities from thousands to dozens. Hut 6, led by Gordon Welchman, synchronized Luftwaffe and Heer decrypts, revealing German defenses from Normandy to the Rhine. The bombs, now over 100 strong by July 1944, processed 1,700 settings per minute, their mechanical clatter a relentless pulse against Germany's crumbling secrecy. The Normandy invasion, launched June 6, 1944, showcased Ultra's decisive edge. Decrypted signals pinpointed German panzer divisions, exposing gaps in the Atlantic Wall. Operation Fortitude, executed through double agents, misled Wehrmacht reserves toward Calais, with Ultra confirming the deception's success. Codebreakers, working through sleepless nights, delivered real-time intercepts, guiding Allied landings with precise intelligence on counterattacks. On June 10, 1944, Ultra revealed Panzergruppe West's deployment plans, enabling airstrikes to disrupt German armor before it reached the beaches. The constraint was speed. Bombs required 20 minutes per rotor order at full capacity. Each decrypt, a snapshot of enemy intent, turned Enigma's complexity into a liability, as operators' predictable phrases such as wetter in dispatches betrayed settings. The cold line. American bombs tested 20,000 settings per second by mid-1944. Across the Atlantic, the U-boat threat waned. The capture of U-505 on June 4, 1944, by U.S. Task Group 22.3 yielded M4 codebooks, accelerating and sustaining shark decrypts alongside earlier U-559 materials from October 1942. These documents, hauled aboard under gunfire, cut decryption time to under 10 minutes per rotor order. By late 1944, over 100 U-boats sank in the second half of the year as ultra-guided escorts used decrypted coordinates to expose patrol lines. The Kriegsmarine, once a terror, crumbled, with losses in May 1943, 41 submarines, up to 10 weekly setting the tone. The Enigma's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion 500, 55 trillion 200, 17 billion 800, 26 million 360,000 settings became a map to defeat. Operator errors and captured codebooks kept Bletchley ahead, their bombs a relentless force. The adversary's perspective underscored the collapse. German officers in Zossen, poring over maps, cursed inexplicable Allied foresight, unaware Enigma betrayed their every order. Their trust in the machine's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings blinded them to Bletchley's triumph. The cold line. Bletchley decrypted 90,000 messages monthly by mid-1944. On the Eastern Front, Ultra illuminated Germany's retreat. By August 1944, decrypted HERE signals tracked Army Group centers collapse under Soviet offensives, exposing redeployments across Poland. Each intercept, processed in Bletchley's crowded huts, guided Allied bombing runs, crippling German logistics. The bombs, supported by over 8,000 staff, churned through settings with mechanical precision, outpacing German countermeasures. The constraint was manpower. Shifts rotated every 8 hours to maintain focus. Wrens, their hands steady despite air raid sirens, recalibrated bombs under dim lights, knowing an error could delay a critical decrypt. Turing, in Hut 8, refined algorithms, his mind mapping Enigma's logic to mathematical clarity. Welchman, in Hut 6, ensured cross-hut coordination, aligning Luftwaffe and naval intelligence into a unified stream. The Mediterranean theater, post-Sicily, benefited from Ultra's reach. By September 1943, decrypted signals supported Allied landings in Italy, revealing German defensive lines at Salerno. Ultra exposed Kesselring's troop movements, enabling airstrikes to disrupt Axis reinforcements. Codebreakers, their desks buried in intercepts, translated German orders into tactical advantage, each decrypt a step toward Rome's liberation in June 1944. The Enigma's reflector flaw, paired with operator errors like repeated Wetter-Bericht in signals, handed Allies a steady flow of intelligence. The bombs, testing 1,700 settings per minute, turned Germany's cryptographic shield into a sieve. The human toll weighed heavy. Codebreakers, bound by secrecy, carried the war's weight in silence, their work saving lives but unseen by those they protected. As 1944 waned, Ultra provided scattered insights into Germany's Ardennes offensive, though radio silence limited advance warning before December 16, 1944. Once launched, Ultra revealed panzer movements, enabling counterstrikes to blunt the Battle of the Bulge by January 1945. The constraint was volume. 90,000 messages monthly pushed Bletchley's resources to the limit. Each bomb run, a 20-minute sprint through settings, demanded flawless execution. The cold line, staff processed 90,000 messages monthly at peak capacity. Codebreakers, their eyes strained from endless ciphertext, persisted, knowing each decrypt could save a division or sink a U-boat. The Enigma's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings, were now a routine challenge. Germany's high command, desperate to stem losses, tightened Enigma procedures, adding rotors and key changes, but to no avail. Bletchley's bombs, now over 150 by early 1945, outpaced German adaptations. Ultra's intelligence, combined with captured materials like U-250's codebooks in October 1944, ensured decrypts flowed uninterrupted. The war's endgame unfolded. Decrypted signals guided Allied advances across the Rhine in March 1945, exposing Germany's final defenses. Bletchley's output, a torrent of 90,000 messages monthly, underpinned every major offensive, shortening the war by an estimated 2 years and saving 2 million lives. The Pacific Theater, though secondary, drew on Bletchley's methods, with ultra-inspired techniques aiding decryption of Japanese codes. As Germany collapsed, Bletchley's secrecy endured. In May 1945, with victory declared, bombs were dismantled to conceal their role. Turing's logical frameworks, developed in Hut 8, seeded modern computing, influencing Colossus against the Lorenz cipher. The Wrens, their contributions hidden, returned to civilian life, sworn to silence under the Official Secrets Act. Enigma machines, some used by nations like Switzerland into the 1960s, now sit in museums, their rotors frozen. Bletchley Park, once a clandestine crucible, stands as a testament to intellect over hubris. The war's outcome, shaped by Ultra's relentless decrypts, proved that Enigma's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings were no match for Allied resolve. The Codebreakers' silent triumph, buried until 1974's revelation in the Ultra Secret, reshaped history, their legacy etched in every saved life and hastened victory. As Germany's surrender loomed in early 1945, Bletchley Park's Codebreakers stood as silent architects of victory, their work veiled by secrecy. The Enigma machine, with its 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826,360,000 settings, standardized since December 1938, had been reduced to a solved riddle. Ultra-intelligence, decrypting 90,000 messages monthly, underpinned Allied triumphs across Europe, from Normandy's beaches to the Rhine's crossings. The reflector's flaw, no letter enciphering to itself, enabled cribs like Wetterbericht to unlock rotor positions, while operator errors, such as reused Heil salutes, handed Bletchley easy wins. Over 150 bombs, processing 1,700 settings per minute, churned through Germany's ciphers, their mechanical hum a testament to relentless precision. Yet as victory neared, the Codebreakers faced a final task, erasing their own legacy to protect the secret. In March 1945, decrypted signals exposed Germany's desperate defenses along the Rhine. Ultra revealed troop movements, enabling Allied airstrikes to shatter Wehrmacht lines before the Ludendorff Bridge fell on March 7. Codebreakers, their desks buried in intercepts, worked under flickering lights, translating German orders into tactical advantage. Each decrypt, processed in 20 minutes per rotor order, guided artillery barrages or troop advances, hastening Germany's collapse. The constraint was secrecy. No commander could hint at Ultra's role, lest Germany suspect Enigma's breach. The cold line. Bombs tested 20,000 settings per second with American models. Wrens, their hands steady despite exhaustion, recalibrated machines, knowing a single misstep could delay a critical intercept. The human toll weighed heavy, with staff rotating every 8 hours to sustain focus amid the war's final chaos. The adversary's perspective sealed Enigma's fate. German cryptographers, huddled in Berlin's bunkers, insisted the machine's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826,360,000 settings were secure. Unaware, Bletchley read their every word. The cold line, Ultra, decrypted 90,000 messages monthly by early 1945. Germany's high command, battered by defeats, tightened Enigma procedures, new rotors, stricter key discipline, but failed to stem the tide. Captured materials, like U-250's codebooks from October 1944, ensured decrypts flowed uninterrupted, exposing plans for futile counterattacks. The Kriegsmarine, its U-boat fleet decimated, sank only 12 Allied ships in the first quarter of 1945, a far cry from 1942's hundreds of thousands of tons monthly. Bletchley's bombs, now a fleet of over 150, outpaced Germany's last cryptographic gasps. In April 1945, Ultra revealed Hitler's orders for a final stand in Berlin, guiding Soviet and Allied advances to encircle the city. Each decrypt, a snapshot of desperation, stripped Germany's ability to resist. The constraint was time. 90,000 messages monthly pushed Bletchley's 8,000 staff to their limits. Alan Turing, in Hut 8, refined algorithms until the end, his calculations shaping the war's closing moves. Gordon Welchman, in Hut 6, ensured Luftwaffe and Heer signals aligned, providing a unified intelligence stream. The bombs, testing 1,700 settings per minute, turned Enigma's complexity into a routine task, their clatter echoing through Bletchley's huts as Germany crumbled. On May 7, 1945, Germany surrendered, and Bletchley's work ceased. The bombs, their role complete, faced immediate destruction to conceal Ultra's existence. Engineers dismantled the machines, their circuits torn apart under orders from the Official Secrets Act. The Wrens, many barely out of their teens, packed away typewriters and returned to civilian life, forbidden to speak of their contributions. Turing's logical frameworks, born in Hut 8's cramped quarters, laid the groundwork for modern computing, influencing Colossus, which cracked Germany's Lorenz cipher. The cold line. Colossus processed 5,000 characters per second by 1945. Enigma machines, some used by neutral nations like Switzerland into the 1960s, were quietly retired, their rotors stilled. Bletchley Park, a hive of clandestine labor, fell silent, its secrets buried to protect post-war intelligence. The legacy of Bletchley's work extended beyond Europe. In the Pacific, Ultra-inspired methods aided decryption of Japanese naval codes, though Enigma remained the European cornerstone. The Codebreakers' efforts, credited with shortening the war by 2 years, saved an estimated 2 million lives, from convoy sailors to frontline soldiers. Yet their triumph remained hidden, locked under the Official Secrets Act until 1974, when F.W. Winterbotham's The Ultra Secret unveiled Bletchley's role. The revelation shocked the world, recasting the war's narrative as one shaped by intellect over might. Museums, like Bletchley Park and the Imperial War Museum, now house surviving Enigma machines, their polished cases a stark contrast to the chaos they once shielded. The human cost lingered in silence. Codebreakers, sworn to secrecy, carried the weight of their unseen victories, unable to share their role in history. Wrens, who operated bombs through air raid sirens, resumed ordinary lives, their stories untold. Turing, whose algorithms cracked Enigma's core, faced post-war persecution, his contributions obscured until decades later. Welchman, instrumental in scaling Ultra's output, saw his work buried in classified files. The constraint was memory. No record could survive to risk future ciphers. Bletchley's staff, numbering over 8,000 at its peak, dispersed, their legacy etched in the war's hastened end, but invisible to the world they saved. The technological ripple effects endured. Turing's work on bomb logic seeded the principles of programmable machines, influencing early computers like the Manchester Baby in 1948. Colossus, born from Bletchley's Lorenz efforts, pioneered electronic computation, processing 5,000 characters per second. The Enigma's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings, once a symbol of cryptographic might, became a lesson in vulnerability. Post-war cryptography, shaped by Bletchley's triumphs, adopted stronger systems, with nations like the United States building on Ultra's methods to secure Cold War communications. The number that matters is 2 million lives saved, a figure tied to Ultra's role in shortening the war. Bletchley Park, now a museum, stands as a monument to human ingenuity. Its huts, once alive with the clatter of bombs and the scratch of pencils, preserve the story of a war won, not just on battlefields, but in the quiet of cryptographic labor. The Enigma machine, its rotors frozen in display cases, serves as a relic of hubris undone by persistence. The Codebreakers' silent sacrifice, Years of unseen toil, bound by oaths reshaped history, their work a testament to intellect over mechanical might. The war's outcome, driven by Ultra's 90,000 monthly decrypts, proved that no cipher, not even one, with 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings, could withstand the Allied resolve to unravel it. The collapse of Enigma's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings, standardized since December 1938, marked a triumph of human intellect over mechanical hubris. Bletchley Park's Codebreakers, their work hidden by the Official Secrets Act, had reshaped the war's course, shortening it by an estimated 2 years through Ultra's 90,000 monthly decrypts. The Enigma's reflector flaw, no letter enciphering to itself, paired with predictable formats like Wetterberiched weather headers, had provided cribs that unraveled Germany's ciphers. Over 150 bombs, processing 1,700 settings per minute, equivalent to 17,576 positions in 20 minutes per rotor order, had turned cryptographic complexity into a routine task. As the post-war world dawned, Bletchley's legacy endured not in medals or parades, but in the silent foundations of modern computing and intelligence. The dismantling of Bletchley's bombs, completed by 1946, erased their physical presence to safeguard Ultra's secret. Engineers, under strict orders, reduced machines to scrap, while classified records vanished into government vaults. The Wrens, their hands once steady on bombe rotors, dispersed to ordinary lives, their contributions unspoken. The constraint was silence. No trace could risk future ciphers. The cold line. Bombs processed 20,000 settings per second with American models. Alan Turing, whose logic cracked Enigma's core, turned to new challenges. His wartime work shaping the automatic computing engine by 1946. Gordon Welchman, whose diagonal board scaled Ultra's output, faded into academia, his role obscured until decades later. Their ideas, born in Bletchley's huts, seeded the digital age, though recognition remained elusive. The adversary's perspective cemented the victory's scale. German cryptographers, even after surrender, clung to Enigma's supposed invincibility, unaware. Their 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826 million, 360,000 settings had been mastered. The cold line, Ultra decrypted 90,000 messages monthly at its peak. Captured materials, like those from U-559 in October 1942 and U-505 in June 1944, had ensured Bletchley's edge, exposing Germany's plans until the war's end. This blind trust in Enigma, unbroken by suspicion, amplified the Codebreakers' triumph, their work a silent force behind every Allied advance. Bletchley's technological impact rippled forward. Turing's balmy designs, rooted in logical circuits, helped seed modern computing, influencing early British machines like the Manchester Baby in 1948. Colossus, cracking Germany's Lorenz cipher at 5,000 characters per second, pioneered electronic computation, its architecture shaping post-war computers. The number that matters is 2 years, the time Ultra shaved from the war's duration. These innovations, born in Bletchley's crucible, transformed laboratories worldwide, though their origins remained classified. Enigma machines, used by nations like Switzerland into the 1960s, gave way to stronger ciphers, informed by Bletchley's lessons in cryptographic flaws. The Cold War absorbed Bletchley's methods. The United States and Britain, leveraging Ultra's framework, built machine-driven intelligence systems, refining cryptography for a new era. Bletchley's influence touched the Pacific, where its techniques aided Japanese code-breaking, though Enigma's European role dominated. The Codebreakers' work, hastening victory, proved intellect could outmatch mechanical might, yet their story stayed hidden. In 1974, F.W. Winterbotham's The Ultra Secret unveiled Bletchley's role, shocking a world that had credited battlefield valor alone. The revelation recast history, spotlighting the unseen labor of 8,000 codebreakers who turned Enigma's complexity into a weapon. Bletchley Park, now a museum, stands as a shrine to that labor. Its huts, once filled with the clatter of bombs, display Enigma machines, their rotors stilled. Visitors trace the steps of wrens who recalibrated machines under pressure, their precision saving lives. The Imperial War Museum, housing Enigma relics, tells of a war won through minds as much as might. The Codebreakers, bound by silence, carried their burden into peacetime, their families unaware of their deeds. Turing's post-war persecution and Welchman's quiet retirement underscored the cost of secrecy. The war's outcome, driven by Ultra's 90,000 monthly decrypts, proved Enigma's 158 quintillion, 962 quadrillion, 555 trillion, 217 billion, 826,360,000 settings were no match for Allied resolve. Bletchley's legacy, unveiled decades later, endures in every computer, every cipher, and every life spared by a war cut short.